Good morning, welcome to Breakfast with Naga Chetty and Charlie State.
Our headlines today: a serving Metropolitan Police officer is charged with the kidnap and murder of Sarah Everard. 48-year-old Wayne Couzens will appear in court this morning.
Campaigners say there's still hope of a vigil in Sarah's memory today, despite a knockback at the High Court.
The family of George Floyd reaches a multi-million-dollar settlement with the US city of Minneapolis, where he died at the hands of police last year.
Good morning. When in Rome, Wales aim to take a big step towards the Six Nations Grand Slam today, while hoping England do them a favour by beating France.
And it's been pretty unsettled of late, but as we look towards the next couple of days, high pressure is building. Something drier and something brighter on the horizon. I'll be back with all the details.
Good morning. It's Saturday the 13th of March. Our top story this morning: a Metropolitan Police officer will appear in court today, charged with the kidnap and murder of Sarah Everard, who went missing while walking home in South London 10 days ago.
Wayne Couzens, who's 48, was taken to hospital yesterday for a second time in 2 days to be treated for a fresh head injury sustained in custody. Charlotte Wright has more.
It is 10 days since Sarah Everard disappeared in South London. She was walking home. Today, a serving Metropolitan Police officer, 48-year-old Wayne Couzens, will appear before magistrates, charged with her kidnap and murder. It follows a large-scale police investigation spanning sites in London and Kent, Woodland in Ashford, where her body was discovered, and 30 miles away in Deal, where the suspect lives.
Sarah's family, of course, have been informed of this development and remain supported by specialist officers. I would like at this stage to pay tribute to Sarah's family for their fortitude and forbearance through what can only have been the most intensely difficult few days. Our thoughts remain with them as this matter progresses.
Wayne Couzens is part of the Parliamentary and Diplomatic Protection Unit. Previously, he'd guarded Britain's nuclear power stations. He'd also served in the Territorial Army. Since his arrest, he's been taken to hospital on 2 separate occasions after being found with head injuries inside his cell. For many, the disappearance of a woman just walking home has galvanised the demand for safer streets. The Home Office is now reopening a public consultation to help inform its strategy on tackling violence against women and girls, due to be published in the summer. The 33-year-old's death has made headlines across the world, but Sarah's family and friends will remember her life. "We are very proud of her," they said. "She brought so much joy to our lives." Charlotte Wright, BBC News.
Well, Charlotte joins us now from Clapham Common, where there are plans for a vigil to take place this evening. Although, Charlotte, morning, there's still uncertainty over whether this vigil can proceed.
Yes, there is some uncertainty at the moment. Naga, morning. I think the events of the past few days have prompted a huge reaction and big debate around that wider issue of women's safety. And I think that is why so many people are keen to attend vigils and hold vigils, not only in Sarah's name, of course, but also in protest around the issue of women's safety and the concerns that some women have around that. Of course, the difficulty is that we're in lockdown, and so public gatherings, vigils aren't allowed under the current rules, and actually anyone who organises them could be faced with a pretty hefty fine for organising them. Now, the group Reclaim These Streets want to hold a vigil here on Clapham Common, near to where Sarah was last seen, at 6 o'clock this evening, and they say if they were blocked from doing that, that would infringe their human right to protest. Now, they took that argument to the High Court yesterday, and unfortunately for them, the judge didn't come down in their favour and didn't say they could definitely go ahead and hold this vigil. But what was interesting was that the judge seemed to imply that they could perhaps have a conversation with the Met Police about exactly what to do next, and that this procedure could be up for discussion. I think the Met Police are pretty keen for people to stay at home and follow the lockdown restrictions, but the organisers of this vigil tonight and other vigils across the country are keen that they can continue discussions with the Met and hope that they could hold some sort of event here this evening at 6 o'clock.
Charlotte, thanks very much. Charlotte Wright there.
The American city of Minneapolis has reached a $27 million settlement with the family of George Floyd, the black man whose death last May at the hands of police officers sparked protests around the world.
It comes as demonstrators take to the streets to mark 1 year since Breonna Taylor, a 26-year-old black woman, was shot dead by police at her home.
Our North America correspondent Larry Madoa joins us now from Breonna's memorial in Louisville. Larry, this today a very significant day for both families, Breonna Taylor and George Floyd.
That's correct, Charlie. The $27 million settlement that the family of George Floyd in Minneapolis will receive is the single largest pre-trial settlement in a civil rights case in American history. And it was announced on the eve of the first anniversary of the death of Breonna Taylor, an opportunity for the family to bring national attention back to her case, a year of calling for people to say her name and asking for justice. They think that she did not receive justice, even though both families are represented by the attorney Ben Crump. Both families have received a settlement. Last year, Breonna Taylor's family received $12 million from the city of Louisville. But George Floyd, the video of his death shocked the nation and the world. A police officer kneeling on his neck for 8 minutes 46 seconds. It reignited the Black Lives Matter movement here in the US and around the world, and it brought a spotlight to the fraught relationship between Black America and policing and the need for reforms. And today, the lawyers for George Floyd saying it shows that Black lives indeed do matter, but this is a personal payment to his family. What is needed is reforms nationally to make sure that a case like this does not happen. For the people who have been saying his name around the country and around the world, they feel there's a lot more to do, and that national reckoning with race has happened. But the family, they are grateful for this settlement, but they think it could all go away if they could have George Floyd back. This is his brother reacting to that settlement.
I thank the state of Minnesota for getting this settlement taken care of. But even though my brother is not here, he's here with me in my heart. Because if I could get him back, I will give all of this back.
And this is the quirk of American law. That settlement of $27 million is coming from the taxpayers in Minneapolis, the same with the $12 million that came from the taxpayers here in Louisville. Today, it will be a rally here at Jefferson Square Park in the middle of Louisville in Kentucky, where a memorial has come up, a way to honor the memory of Breonna Taylor. Her mother, Tamika Palmer, says she did not receive justice, and the police officers who shot her daughter were not charged. There were no criminal charges. The only officer who's facing a criminal charge is for wanton endangerment, essentially for shooting into the homes of Breonna Taylor's neighbors. And that, she feels, is an injustice that needs to be corrected. She wants the state of Kentucky to do more, to appoint a special prosecutor to introduce a murder charge against those officers. Two other officers who were there that night in what is this called a no-knock warrant were fired, but they were not charged. Here in the city of Louisville, they have passed what is called Breonna's Law, but not in the whole state. Breonna's Law essentially bans police from coming into your home without announcing themselves, and that's what led to this tragedy.
Larry, thank you very much.
Wales has started to ease its lockdown. From today, up to 4 adults from 2 households are now allowed to meet up outside, including in private gardens.
So more detail on that. Outdoor sports such as golf, tennis and basketball will also be able to resume, and care home residents can welcome 1 designated visitor indoors.
The Duchess of Sussex has made a complaint to the broadcasting regulator Ofcom about the broadcaster Piers Morgan. The presenter resigned from ITV's Good Morning Britain earlier this week after saying he didn't believe a word the Duchess said in her interview with Oprah Winfrey. The Duchess spoke about having suicidal thoughts and said she received no support from the royal family.
Time now is 9 minutes past 6. One picture story for you this morning from Chester Zoo. Have a look at this. It is the birth of a rare kind of giraffe. Its calf doesn't yet have a name. It was born to mum Orla. This is on the 3rd of March. And you're wondering, of course, at just a few days old, how tall is a giraffe? Well, 6 foot tall.
It's a big baby. It's a big baby, hey?
It's a big baby.
The Rothschilds giraffes are highly threatened in the wild. Their numbers have halved in recent years. Rather lovely. No name yet, then?
Just checking the world out.
Yeah, as you do. Keep going.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.